Today, I brought on a very special guest. She's probably the most popular female athlete who competes on the Olympia stage right now. An inspiration to thousands, if not millions, of women worldwide to start training and start competing in the sport of bodybuilding. We talk about her life and her journey. When she started in the gym at 17 years old, coming from a sports background of soccer, judo, and skiing. At 20 years old, she won not only her class, but the overall title at the Canadian Nationals, getting her IFBB Pro card. In 2017, she did her pro debut at the Toronto Pro, taking second, and then followed by the Miami Pro, taking fifth. 2018, the legacy was born. She won the Toronto Pro, the Chicago Pro, and the Tampa Pro, and took second place at her first Olympia in 2018. Along the journey, she's had a lot of ups and downs. In the top five, she's always taken second, fourth, and fifth. And in 2024, she finally won the Bikini Olympia title. She's won the Arnold Classic title 3 times and is only one of 5 Bikini Olympia champions to win the Arnold and the Olympia in the same calendar year. She's an inspiration and a great ambassador for the sport. And I'm glad to say that I've got to follow her journey for this whole time and to see where she is now. Presenting my next guest, she is the current, reigning, defending Bikini Olympia champion from Quebec, Canada, Lauralie Chapados. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
No, please. Oh my God, I'm so excited for this. I think it's like way overdue, and I think you're doing such a wonderful job with like content and making like really good posts for, the girls. And I always told you, like, your knowledge is second to none. Like, the only other person that could like, that you can't even match is like JM, but like you're right there. Like you really know so much about the bikini category, and I appreciate you so much for that.
Listen, JM's more of an encyclopedia. I'm kind of like almanac because I'm looking at it like, was this right? Was that right? So I make sure like, I at least have 5, 8 sources to make sure something is true or something is like it's not made up. Because I used to be a journalism major before I went into like the healthcare industry, and I wanted to make sure like if I'm going to say something, it's accurate. It's not just I'm just how news is now, where they just make things up for like clicks.
Oh
No,
my
I'm going to make
God.
sure that this was right, this was accurate. I never want to take someone's words and twist it. I'll pull up someone's interview, I'll pull up like this is what they said this time. I want to make sure, because I don't want them to like you accuse me. No, I never want to be that person. No. So I wanted to do something
Oh
different
wow,
and
that I
give
mean,
back to the.
that's incredible. That's incredible. I think that's very obviously appreciated in like a world that where clickbait is so powerful now, but you remain, very much so with integrity. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. So I wanted to like get you on kind of to know more about you and more about like, I kind of have a gist of certain things. So I wanted to make sure, like I said, everything I'm saying is true. So from Quebec, Canada, and you got into bikini because of a friend, and you started in the gym at 17 years old. Is that right? Were you in sports at all?
A little bit. My parents were like putting us into sports because they always thought physical activity was important. So soccer, jujitsu, skiing during the winter, stuff like that. I did dancing, gymnastic. You know, when you're very young, your parents put you in everything, and then
Yeah.
whatever sticks, sticks. So it was soccer for me and jujitsu for until what did I got? Like blue belt, I think, green belt, blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and then skiing every winter. We would just go and ride the slopes on the weekends.
Okay. So initially, what kind of made you kind of go from I don't like sports to oh, let me try this bodybuilding thing? Because you started competing in what year was it? 15 or 16?
The year that I signed up to the gym or the year that I turned pro? Sorry, you cut off a little bit.
Oh, so the year that you decided to like go into the gym and then maybe go and deciding to pursue bodybuilding. Like, what was your like early inspiration to go and to do that?
It was simply, without making it a long story, it's me at 17. So Canada, you turn legal age at 18. So we're already going out in the club. We're going, out at the bar, like from Thursday to Sunday. And so it wasn't as serious as it used to be. Like soccer, like girls would just not show up to practices or show up hangover, and it wasn't really serious. So I was like, I need an outlet that I can just rely on myself. And so I, like, one day in November, I just went to the bank, cashed out $300. It was a special for 1 year. I went to the gym. First time I stepped foot in a gym, I gave my money was for 1 year, and I trained every single day, sometimes twice a day for like that whole entire year. And then half through that year, I got a that friend that you're talking about, obviously older than me. She was kind of my mentor into the sport, figure pro, and she came to me and she said, have you ever thought about competing? You look great. You would be, you know, you would do good as a competitor. And I was like, do what? And next thing I knew, I was on bodybuilding.com doing Steve Cook diet and trying to get 10 egg whites in the morning. It took me 1 hour and a half to finish my first meal because I used to not even eat breakfast. Like I had basically just like lunch and dinner every day, and it was like a pasta salad and then whatever my mom would cook. Um, and obviously when we were going out, it was just whatever. But yeah, that's where it kind of first started. And then she eventually mentored me like into, getting my posing routine. She was a body bio, like a body bio angel. They used to call them like that. So she was a figure pro, body bio angel, and um, yeah, she mentored me into my first show, and then my first year I did regional, provincial, and then nationals. I won all three of them. And then in Canada, like you have to win your overall to get your pro card. So I had like a full year off because the shows are only for a short period of time, like between like after school and before school. So for that summertime, which is kind of convenient to be honest. So I had like a whole 8 months of just building into getting my pro card, and then 2016, that's when I turned pro.
Oh yeah. So you were I'm trying to think about back then. So you learned from bodybuilding to come. You said Steve Cook, and I'm like, oh man, that was an OG men's physique guy. That was like one of my favorite guys. I remembered when Mark Anthony won his first one in 2013 when he had the braids, and I always wanted to do men's physique when I first started, but then I kind of felt like, yeah, I don't have the abs of the last for that. And then so when Classic came in 2016, I was like, I think that's more of aesthetic look, and that's what made me draw into that. So when you were coming up back then, it was harder to pro. You're obviously NPC worldwide. It's like you got to win your class, and then only overall winners. So and up until 2016, it was only up to class F. Now they have 8 classes, which back then was only 6. So they have G and H. So you know you have to win your class and then only top one in the overall one. So it's harder. It was harder to wait to a pro. Then you came from a time where, I mean, now you kind of look at it as it's much easier, but for know what shows up at a national show. But I commend you on that because it's hard to do that and then to be so committed to this and to achieve that. So you were still in school at the time while you were doing this, right?
Yes, that's correct. I was at school working two jobs, almost three at some point. Um, yeah, I was making it work though. I still, looking back, I still don't know how I did it, but you're right, it was difficult. I mean, the overall lineup that I won my pro card at, Jan Dory was on that lineup as well. So like that's how tight, it was. And, Jen and I has always, been such good friends, and but we follow each other like to the tail all the time, since our very beginning. So it's been incredible to like get Canada like on the map like that, and being very
Yeah.
successful with, Sebum, Melissa Bumstead, like, Ian Valier, like great
Yeah.
bodybuilding names because we had to work for it. It was always one, it was two pros a year basically. It was the natural show, like the IVB pro qualifier used to be called, and then it would be the national like regular show. um that was before it was separated obviously with elite and the other, obviously now NPC and IVB pro league. So
Yeah. And you're doing that with hey, listen, if anyone learns this, I hope people see this part, but Lauralie did 3 jobs and was a both and a student and competing. So if she can do it, you guys can do it too. There is no excuse. I always hear like, well, I can't, like, you have to. There's no balance in life. You have to find a ways to make it work. And hey, you're an example of that. So you turned pro. Um, you did you did your pro debut. Was it Toronto, right? In 2017,
Toronto, correct. Yes. Yes.
you took second there, and then you did the Miami Pro, and you took
I
fifth.
took second. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
So then, after your two shows that season, you decided, you to call it a season and then come back with the improvements. So, you were going those girls that you went against, and I looked it up. They were in the top five of that 2017 Olympia, and I remembered that Olympia, how it would just felt like odd because you didn't have Ashley. She sat out for the year. India was having a baby. Courtney King retired, and then Janet Leung decided to sit out. So it was pretty much like all the girls who were like the stars. It's like that top five was never the same after 2017. And I honestly thought if you were in that, you could have, you probably would have been up there. So Angelica won that Olympia. And so then you come back in 2018, you won the Toronto Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a lot of great pros there. And um, the Toronto Pro that you did your debut, and Sebum, actually, that was his first win. How crazy you saw that whole legacy fold. So,
Crazy. I didn't even know that.
yeah, I mean, I was like,
But that was
that
that
was,
was a
and
cra
yeah,
that was a crazy
yeah,
show. Because
I
looking back
know.
at it, John De La Rosa was there, Cedric
Yeah.
McMillan was there too. Yeah, oh my God, that was actually like a pretty crazy show. I just remember me and Jen being there because I was like, oh my God, look at those glutes. She was pumping over there with her sister, like her twin sister, and I was like, what are those glutes? Her in her green suit. And it was the first time that I was wearing that like blue purplish, which like I stuck on for like the rest of my career. So no, I mean, yeah, you're right. That was a pretty stacked show. Jazzy was there.
I actually, I actually have from your pro debut. Like, I don't know if you've had anything outside or blue or purple suit, but you had a green suit. You remember this?
Okay, so
You
wait.
seen it?
Can I tell a story about this suit?
Yeah.
So this suit previously, we were talking about our that year, 2017. The reason
Yeah.
why I had to stop after Miami was a actual budget situation. Like I didn't have the funds
Yeah.
to I had just moved in my first apartment. Um, I was like I said, I was working. I just hadn't I couldn't be taken off more away from school and work and all this stuff, and I just didn't have the means to continue competing. Like when I went to Miami, it was my first show in the USA, and it's a pretty penny. So that suit came from um Bella Bikini in Quebec, Canada. Naomi, she's amazing, and she noticed at my provincial show, I believe, that I had a suit, and that suit I had literally ordered it from. It's not Amazon. It's something that is like particular to Montreal and Quebec. It's like let's say Facebook Marketplace, okay? Facebook
Mhm.
Marketplace, no stones, and I literally glued my stone by myself, but they were crooked. So like the one side was like this, and then the other side was going like this. Like the pattern, I don't know what happened, but I glue my stone like completely wrong. And she saw me at that show, and she was like, like I'll do you a suit for like very cheap and da da da, like I'll help you out. And yeah, actually it's weird because I won my pro card in a blue purple, a more purplish bikini, and here I am with that green suit. I guess we gave it a try, but
It
yeah,
actually
with
looked
like
good on you.
those, it's not bad. It's not bad actually. It's not bad.
And this was like, you actually did a good styling pose. I know this is like fit model back then, but yeah,
Right.
you actually were good at that. I'm like looking at I'm gonna look at him like, that's a good fit model pose.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So going into 2018, you won a stacked Toronto Pro lineup. Your first ever pro win, and then followed by going into Chicago, where everyone says one of your Chicago looks was always one of the best. Like this, like 2018 and 2021. I'm gonna show 2021 when we get there, but actually, everyone always said like that was like where you stood out. And then you in Tampa, and everyone's like, she's on the map. And then that's when I started her first hearing about it. She's like, hey, have you heard about this girl from Canada? Her name's Lauralie. I'm like, who? Lauralie? Like, so, and I look, I'm like, oh wow, like everyone kept making a big deal out of you. And then they're like, do you think she could go for the title? It's like, I mean, I always tell people like, I don't want to give too much up. I'm like, one day at a time. Let's like, this is her first one. This is her first Olympia. We'll see how it goes. I'm like, listen, I don't know how the whole lot, because we talked about the Arnold that year where Angelica won and Janet came back, and then Casey Sampson, who took fourth, she got third. And I'm like, that would be very interesting to see you, Janet, Casey, because you all 5'7", 5'7.5", if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm like, and I was like, what do you think about her? And then they said, what about you and Janet? I'm like, you know what that would be like? And I put this analogy, and I'm hoping you don't take it the wrong way. Like, you have Prime, you have Megatron. And the girl's like, which one of those
Oh, okay, I
Megatron? I'm
love
like,
that.
Janet. So it's like they almost have the same qualities, but we'll see who displays that better. So you go into your first Olympia after winning
Wow.
3 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you this. I mean, when they had the first group come out, Norman walked out, Romina walked out, and then you walked out, everyone's voice went up. And I'm just looking back and I'm like, who are these girls screaming for? And I'm like, and they're pointing at like number 4, like Lauralie, like that was like, is this her? It's like, you've never seen her before. I'm like, not in person, but I've seen photos. Like, I could see why now she's such a big deal. And then after they did all the groups, and then you're up next, going up, and then they said your next competitor from Canada, Lauralie, and everyone's voice screamed like, okay, and like, okay, here we go. I'm like, I and you were memorable in that Olympia. You were very memorable.
Oh,
So
wow.
then
John, I've never heard that
and
story before. Thank you so much for reminding me this. That's like very cool.
so they actually did the first call out, and it was Ramina, and then you, and everyone starts screaming, and I'm like, this girl's a big deal. I never realized how much a big deal you were, and because I'm like, this is like,
And
I
that
think
was
because
before
you were a
social
standout because
media.
of, yeah, and it was on a Friday when they had the prejudging, and that was when they had that 2-day show back then, because the format was way different.
Oh,
So they called out Ramina, they called out you, Ashley, Janet, Issa, Camille, Jennifer Ronziti, and Angelica for like the top 8 first call out. And then they after that you were moved closer to the center, and I'm like, hey, I think she might actually win. I think she might actually win today. And so then they had another final call with the top
really?
6, and then they singled you and Angelica out, and I'm like, oh, like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This is wild right now. And then they had a top 3 final call with you, Angelica, and Janet. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen Saturday, but man, I'm excited to see Saturday night finals. And so the result was you took second in your first Olympia, and I was like, this girl's got a great future, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she could do in many years. And how was that with your first Olympia, being going into your first one with one of the biggest stages? It was a different format with a 2-day show. How was it? Did you feel like it was? Did you feel like this level of pressure or expectations going into it, or you just kind of went in like, I'm gonna do my thing?
I have not lived it the same way that you just explained it, like at all. I was either extremely oblivious or I was not speaking enough English to understand what was happening around me because not at all. I went there with my best friend actually, and we actually had the time of our lives. I just remember I was in Vegas, and for some reason I had brought, because it was September time, so I brought
Yeah.
jacket, and we're like trying to get groceries, and we're just like, we're just gonna walk around, you know. So we're walking around Vegas, not realizing that it's gonna get hot. So I'm over here with my big hoodie, walking. I'm sweating, finding this grocery store that doesn't, like, we weren't able to get whatever we wanted to get. I don't know, we got lost. I mean, and then between those two shows, I was just so relaxed. And then at the Orleans, there's this like once you get down the elevator, you turn
Hmm.
around and there's like this restaurant where they do that food stuff. And I was just seeing Janet eating her little meal there. There was Dexter Jackson over there. I was like, what is going on? You know, like looking back, I was just kind of starstruck, but that's when everything was just, you know, the fans were there, but I wasn't really known. So I was really able to kind of experience the Olympia not only for the first time, but like really the first time as a obviously a competitor.
Yeah.
But just everything being so brand new, I was very oblivious to it all. Like nobody was telling me of the weight of what it meant, really. And I think that's kind of the best way to go by it because I mean, I just remember, John, imagine we're backstage at finals, right? And back then they weren't just bringing up back the top 10. So in that it's kind of in the arena in the back, it looks like a little bit like locker rooms for hockey teams. Okay, so in that room there's like Jen, me, Ashley, and I believe Angelica always comes a little bit later. She stays in her room a little bit later, and so she came later that night, so it might have been either Janet or Jen Ranziti. It was just three of us. So like all of us were just kind of like laying down. And then in that other room, there's all like Narmin Estrella, India Polino, Janet Leyu, like all the Body Bio Angels were like in another room. And then it was kind of like that a little bit. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just remember these were like really key moments. And then obviously whenever Sandy called us, Angelica and I went into my back pose, and that's when I was like, wait a second. I'm like battling it with Angelica Teixeira right now. Like that on stage I went, okay, whatever happens from here on out, I don't even think I held my walk really well towards the back. I was just like, I'm here beside Angelica Teixeira right now. Like she's breathing. Like I can literally feel her breath. And it was incredible. And obviously we went backstage and then Frank Zippi was like, who are you? We don't know you. Tony Doherty was there. Who are you? And that's where the name Dark Horse came out from because it was like, you're the underdog. And Tony was like, no, you're the dark horse. And I was like, wait, I'll grab that. And then Angelica came up from stage and we have this like really like it's probably one of our favorite pictures like from both of us because that's really where like we just bonded. She's such a respectable and genuine human being. Like she was just wishing me the best while obviously she's extremely competitive as she should, but just that mutual respect, like we just bonded right there so heavily. And since then, like we've both been our biggest cheerleader to like one another. So, um, traveled together after that, you know, and then we're entering the GAT era. Like that's, you know, that's everything after that. But after the Olympia, John, I wrapped my stuff, you know, from Vegas and I went right back to work, you know, serving table for breakfast, for brunch, you know, and back to my little gym, you know, in the morning. And um, yeah, like I just went, you know, back to my AKA normal life. And I think it was a morning. I was serving a table, and that guy was like, "Didn't you just compete at the Olympia?" I was like, "Yes, sir." And with my little apron, and what can I get you? He's like, "Do you realize what it means that you finished second at the Olympia and you're here?" And I was like, I was, you know, I was like, yes, but I also like I really enjoyed like the job that I was doing, and I was like, well, I just go back to what I know and what I do. And then 2 months after that, that's when GAT reached out to me and my first sponsorship, and I still continue working, you know, for a little bit, you know, going back to you know, university, like graduated, all this stuff, um, and yeah.
I mean, you were just living in the moment. You weren't just thinking, and I think that's what made you kind of enjoy those times. And that's something why you look back on, like, you're just living in the moment. So that's kind of what I'm
So
hearing from.
present.
Yeah. And I feel like people forget about that. It's like they kind of just like, because obviously when you're a high level elite athlete, it's kind of like you have those expectations, like, oh, I have to win. I can't make myself look bad. But you were kind of like, I'm living in the moment. This is one of the most fun I've had in my life. And I think people need
Yeah.
to start to do that more, and you were
I
doing
agree.
that. So you were,
I agree.
you just got, you mentioned this. You were working full time and you were at the Olympia. And then someone said, "What are you doing here?" Funny story. What's his name? Brandon Hendrickson, the men's physique guy. He won the Arnold Classic on Saturday. I think I forgot the year he won. I forgot which year it was, but he won the Arnold Classic Saturday, and then he went back to his job at like Finish Line on Sunday. And then one guy was like, "Are you Brandon Hendrickson? Didn't you just win the Arnold?" It's like, yeah. It's like, why are you working here? Like, you realize what you just did? It's like, yeah, but I don't have any sponsors. I don't have any of that. It's like,
Mm-mm.
dude, you can make this a life, you know? So it was crazy. I was thinking, like, yeah, they still went back to, they weren't just all in. They had to have something to go back on. So you
Yeah.
you finished up school.
Yep.
Were you in a master's program, or were you just doing your undergrad?
Uh, so I would say the equivalent of what you're talking about in Canada, Quebec, basically, because it's like Canada have their own system, but Quebec have their own system within their own because it's like French Canadian side. So it's called CEGEP, which it would probably be like your undergrad program. It's in business management, and I did graduated, with a business management degree, and then I had just started summer school for a logistic engineering program, which is an incredible program that I was very interested in, but it was a heavy program for sure. Yeah.
And so at what point? So then you got signed with GAT, right? I didn't write that down, but I remember you were with GAT at one point. So at what
Yes.
point did you decide, I'm going to leave school behind and I'm going to decide to do this full time? When was that point where you're like, I don't have to do a daytime job. I can be all in on this. I could be a full time athlete. When did you decide to make? And were your parents upset at first? Because I
So
want people to hear this so that, yeah. Go ahead.
no, hopefully, like you said, it's gonna, like you were about to say, I'm sure. But no, I think it can obviously help, clarify some things for some people. But for me, I think I had a guest appearance with GAT, and I was going in summer school and starting my program with university, and then I had sent my invite, for the Arnold, and I was already competing internationally. Like, mind you, like 2018, after the Olympia, I went to China, I did the Philippines, and then I went to LA and I trained with Charles Glass. And I was telling him, he was asking me a question, and he said, Lauralie, with his little voice, your opportunity in bodybuilding is this big, and so you just have to take it. And then that kind of lived rent free in my head for a little bit. And then I got qualified for the Arnold, and I went back home and I started prep. And um, I was like, I have to make a decision, before the semester starts with school. It's going to be 75 hours of schoolwork, which I need to be 100% in, or I need to be 100% into my first Arnold Classic. And so I made the decision to be a full-time athlete then. I finished my summer school, and then I started prep for the Arnold Classic 2019, as I had just, started being with my first coach, my first trainer, um, nutritionist, whatever you want to call it, first team, and started prep for the Arnold. So that was 2019. So I was already sponsored for over a year. I had already like a couple of shows under my belt. I obviously had the Olympia under my belt, but I really wanted to make a statement because for me, in the Philippines, when I finished second place after winning my show in China again, and we're talking like against Janet, right? Like against Janet and Isa, like it's
Yeah.
it's one of those like lineups were very stacked. I took it very hardly. That was probably one of my most like transformative loss. Like, and it's not a loss, I got really sick, and that day Janet looked much better. Like I was flat, and it wasn't, I just finished second place. But I took it really, really hard. Like I thought my career was over. Like, super emotional, 19 years old. I'm like, I'm on the other side of the world. Like I have nobody with me to just like cry out loud and rationalize what has been happening, you know. And I on the flight back, I made decision, you know, to hire my coach Adam, that was Adam Bonilla at the time, and we started prep for the Arnold 2019.
Yeah. So you did the Arnold, and that was your lowest placing ever. That Arnold, that was your first one. You got sixth place in that one. So you you were very competitive. You're like, I don't like the way I lost. I didn't like the way I took second place. You wanted to be competitive because you had that feeling of like, wow, I can actually do very well. So that's why I feel like you wanted to continue to compete. So when you decided to go to being competing full time, what did your parents say about that? Were they upset? Were they kind of like, okay, but actually have something to go back on? Because I have a good example of, there was a person who was really intelligent girl. She went to Northwestern, which is like really hard school to get into, and she was a financial litigation consultant, but she was like, I'm going to be going into competing, and if this doesn't go well, I fall back on going back to my job. She had a great six-figure career. She does, we do this because of passion. you know when your passion becomes your purpose, that's what you kind of go for. And I was just like, you have a great six-figure job. You don't make money from bodybuilding, so it's like, if I don't do well in this, okay, I go back. She did pretty well. She got her pro card and all, but at least she was doing something, because a lot of the younger crowd, they start to go all in without thinking. It's like, have something to go back on, or like, because like I said, to be where you are, it's over years of work, and obviously it's like that only 5% of the world. So
Right. No, that's very true.
going into 2019, you're going all in. So after your sixth place at the Arnold, you I don't did you do any other I don't believe you did any other shows outside of the Arnold and the Olympia that year, right?
I did. I went to Australia 2 weeks after, so you know I was
Oh yeah,
already
the Australia
qualified
Pro, yeah.
for. I had to do Australia just because I had already signed a contract and I was already on the roll and stuff. Um, Again, like that Arnold was very revealing to me, and it was again a big lesson because, like you said, I went all in, which for me meant. And also, we were talking about my parents, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna be at the gym for 5 hours out of the day. Like I'm gonna be leaving with my meals, like an actual job. And I was doing that obviously for me, but also like to showcase my parents, like, hey, look at what I'm doing, right?
Hmm.
Um, like I'm actually having a full-time job, and my parents are they hardest some of the hardest workers I've ever met. So kind of showcasing that, but I went, you know, balls to the walls, and I went, you know, fully obsessed with everything because I had nothing else but that, and it didn't pay off. I was doing sauna every day. I was doing hit cardio every day. I was extremely like with my calories, seasoning, everything was to the T, was cooked by me. You know, high stress level still. So all that being said, sometimes like really locking in into, like you said in the beginning, like people going back to having fun and like being present and having like other things going on, and just treat it as like a really like a passion project, and let that be a passion project for like the longest time, and like curate it as such the longest time as you can. I think that what has been, you know, the made me into the athlete that I am today. And like not the one that I just went there 5 hours and the grind was heavy and like, you know, everything was painful all the time, and you know, just super intense. And I'm sure, you know, if you talked with Sid, like I mean, she's graduating some of the biggest school, and some of our biggest champion like does have something to lend on. So I do think that to do the sport well, um
Hmm.
in the beginning, and it's a matter of like being present in the journey, but not like let the journey override just your entire life.
Yes. So you take second at the Arnold Australia, and then you go into the Olympia, and then you drop to fourth place. And I don't know if this was
Yeah.
true. If this, I'm going to verify. You had a back injury, right? When did that happen?
It happened about a week and a half before the Olympia. I was doing posing. I did posing for about like 40 minutes in very, very, very dry heat, California. Like that day was so dry. I just remember I was just dry to the bones and I just overposed and I woke up the next day and I was like, I cannot like stand up. And it was really bad. And so got extremely like inflamed all the way around my stomach area. I couldn't tilt for anything. Like I ended up being able to stand up after a couple hours, but extreme fatigue, dry, um, just yeah, in a really bad spot. So definitely that swelling. I try to bring it down as much as I could with just taking, um, chiropractors, massage therapies. I had like jet bath, like working on this area. It was just a lot to deal with, before the show, obviously. But yeah.
Right. So after that Olympia, and then you decided not to apply for the Arnold that year, and so you only did the Olympia in 2020. I know that was the pandemic year, and you take fifth place. And I will say, even with all that stuff, that was a tough lineup with even 40 girls in it, and you're still at the top. You're still within that top five, even though you dropped a place. I still think it was a great package from you, and everyone looked at that 2020 look like, I don't know how that was fifth at all. And I looked at it like, that was I like that look, even though even if it was not like one of your all time best, I actually like that look a lot. So then after the 2020 Olympia, you go into 2021 and you win Chicago. And I will show this. Everyone loves this Chicago look a lot. So I'm pull this up. I have to delete the audio. I have to make sure that the audio is off so that
Yes, glutes were very overpowering. But yeah, I get people talking to me about that look still to this day. I think it was the first time that I was also doing my stallion like exit too.
okay. So 2021, you win the Chicago Pro, you take fourth in Tampa, and I think it was around the July time where Janda decided that she wouldn't be going to defend her title. So right there's an open throne. Then you going into the Arnold, which was 2 weeks before the Olympia. Did you do feel like there was more pressure on you? I know, like, you take it very well with the social media, with the internal externals. So going into that Arnold, even though you took third, and then going into Olympia, was there more expectation, more pressure, and how did you go about that going into it? Were you just kind of like, you learned from something in the past, or you're like, I just have to go into, like, it was like living in the moment?
I think that Arnold was a little bit more charged with emotions. It was my first time seeing my parents, for a very long time after the pandemic, like over a couple years. They were seeing my show, like we had got tested for COVID. There was a lot of things going on that probably got my mind off from like anything. Social media was just kind of irrelevant at this point, which I try to keep it that way. Like as much as I love the comments of just you're gonna win, or like they can be like extremely positive, which I appreciate them like so so much, but I never make it a thing where I change it into pressure. Like I more so feel it as a thing that is love, and anything that people say is, it's just it ends up being either true or not true, but we're only going to know after the show. So, for now, it doesn't hold any weight in my life whatsoever. But 2021 Arnold, that's when I started being um a little bit before that, like I started, prepping myself again, like doing my peak week, like doing my peak week protocol. Like there was a lot of thing going on there, and I was very much so locked in. So I got kind of like a little bit of a feeling of getting back to myself at that Arnold, as far as, when I did the Olympia, it was pretty much like me doing my protocol, my peaking and everything myself. So that's really how I felt in that Arnold, which was not obviously posted on social media, but that's what was happening behind the scenes.
Okay, so Olympia, you
Yeah.
everything happens again. You first call out. They had the top three, and it's like, oh, did they have a top two with you and Jen, or was this top three with you, Ashley, and Jen? Did you
It
guys have a
it,
top
it was
two?
a, no, it was a top three.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So then we're going into finals, and then after they announced fifth place was Issa, fourth was Maureen, and then third was Ashley, and then you and Jen came to the center, and they said, "I'm told that this is a 1 point decision." In that moment, what are you feeling like? Would you, either way, you'd been happy, like with it, whether you won or if you took second, or you're
Oh,
like, this is in my moment. You're in that moment.
oh my God. No, honestly, it could have been either way at this point. But I was so happy for Jennifer. Obviously, such a deserving win. And I could see exactly whenever I got back and I got my feedback, I said absolutely. Like I could see where she beat me that day, Like I could definitely see um where she won, and I was so happy. It was such a great package for both of us. It was such a pivotal moment in both of her career, actually, like personally, like on the personal aspect of it, like of like what I know what she went through, and like she kind of knew what I was going through at the same time. So that moment was extremely special for both of us, I think, but obviously for her because she won her first Olympia, which was like, oh my God, we were so close. Like we've been so close. Like we actually were roomies, like at the Temper Pro, and that's where she met Mark Anthony. Like we love telling this story because Mark came to our room and he knocked at the door and I opened, and then he brought cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory to Jen because in Canada we don't have Cheesecake Factory. So he brought cheesecake and I turn around and I say, "Hey, Cheesecake Man came around." And she said, "Wait, did he left?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I just thought it was like a delivery guy or whatever. He's like, "Just give it to Jennifer." And so she was like, "Wait a second." And then she started texting him, and he was in an elevator, and he was like, "Yeah, you were the cheesecake man for like the entire weekend," and we are just like laughing about it. So, that's like how far, like, and how close we were. Yeah, it's such a great story. I mean, look at them now. It's just like mom
Yeah.
and pops. Like they're just so great. I saw them like yesterday, so obviously, like I love them to death, and like I said for Jen, I was so happy for her. Yeah, that 2021 was extremely pivotal for sure.
Okay. So after the 2021, you went and won a couple of shows after, and then you applied for the Arnold, and then you won your first Arnold, and then that year,
Yes.
like you were winning all the big shows. So winning the Arnold, winning Pittsburgh in New York, what did that mean for you to win some of the three biggest shows at the beginning of the season? You were making history.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was Mr. Kimoto. We started working together at the 2021 Olympia behind the scene, and we let that keep going onto our first Arnold together, won that, and then wait, we did Sacramento and Iron games too. Like I can't even
Yeah,
remember if it
and
was beforehand. Yes. So
that
then we
was
did
after.
that, and
Yeah.
it was right after the Olympia, I believe, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So solidified those two wins, then the Arnold, then we win again, Pittsburgh and New York. I mean, what a year. What a year. It was probably first of all, it was my biggest year as a competitor, like a biggest season as a competitor as far as like the number of show that I was able to do. And as I mean the tier of the levels, the show that I'm actually doing. So um like you said, leading on to the Olympia, I have history in the making. I'm 3 out of 4 basically, like having the Arnold and then Pittsburgh, New York, and then there's only one missing to just wrap the buckle. But
I mean, it was a long year. It was in December. I mean, it was, I mean, I felt, listen, people always ask me, what do you like, the Olympia in Las Vegas or in Orlando? And I'm like, As a fan, I love it in Las Vegas. You get a great experience. You can do things. Orlando as an athlete because everything is in one place. But man,
Yeah.
when you guys were at the Venetian and you had a hotel, you had one hotel for the host hotel, you had a hotel for makeup, you had a hotel for tanning. It's like y'all going all over the place for so many. So I felt like it was very stressful at that time. And you're that in you took fifth place. You know, you were a little over conditioned in that, but I felt like you know how it was put up. I'm not going to go into that like whole like spiel about it, but I felt like, man, these girls had to go all over the place just to do that. Like, can't they just have everything in one place? So you took fifth that Olympia. Jen loses and Marine
Yeah.
becomes the champion. So then you go into the Arnold in 23. Not much time with prep. Was there was not much time between December and then March because no, I would always say I feel like a lot of people would stick with the Arnold if the Olympia was in September, but now the cost of having things in September is gone up, so that's why I think they have it in October now. But I feel like from December, and a lot of people, some people dropped out, and I think there's only like 9 girls in that Arnold because it was just not much time. It was just kind of like short notice. So going into 2023, you took fifth. You know, Jen's there, Ash is there, Marine's there. Did you going into it like I got to defend my title? I have to prove it, or like I want this.
Yeah, I think def I think definitely, it was a defending title in the back of my mind, but it's also, redemption from the Olympia. Like I can't really look back onto a title. Like for me, it just goes by showing, as much as, the Arnold is the title that I cherish in my heart so deeply. Like it was more so, okay, how can we, like in reality, I just had to redeem myself from the Olympia and like showcasing going back to being competitive again because, that was not uh worthy of an Olympia title. It wouldn't have, if the Olympia was called Arnold, like I wouldn't have regained my title there either. So it's like, okay, how can we get the body back? But I remember um that one was a rough one for everyone. Like talking to them backstage, like I remember it has been like a very tough prep for most of us.
So after you win that, you qualify, and so you gave yourself that break, which I felt like was really much needed. A lot of people like were saying, "Hope you compete more." And like, I feel like for you, it's like you're like I've said this that year. I'm like, I think she's done enough to say that she's a top tier pro, and I felt that having so much pressure, like doing back to back to back nonstop, it's like you need some time off where it's like because it starts to wear on you both, physically, mentally, emotionally as well. So going into 2023 Olympia, it's back in Orlando. I where you you take fourth, you improved a spot from last year, so I don't think it was that bad of a loss. Were you? I don't know if I'm just guessing on this. I wanted to ask you personally: were you inflamed, or were you was something going on
Yeah,
in
so
2023?
yes. So I listen, to this day I don't hate the look of 2023 at all, but definitely Mother Nature came around and then we um we we really got ready like the week of. And that was not enough for us to once Mother Nature came around, we were like, oh well, we didn't calculate it that part. So that caught us off guard and then the thing with me is that if I almost need to be, I would have almost needed to be like 2 pounds lighter just from the legs, okay, to be able to have, Mother Nature come around and just have it smooth sailing. Maybe like 2.5 pounds in my legs down, but we didn't calculate that. We just went, okay, this is perfect. We're locking in the look. Like Kim told me that okay, we're on the Tuesday of the show, like the Tuesday of the week of the show. But then we have a lot of things going on, and then like I said, inflammation for just standing on that Thursday, the Friday. I was wearing the boots. There was nothing really coming out of my legs, and the thing is, I can't really do any crazy like water drop protocol because then I'm going to lose my upper body. So we just try to pump up a little bit more. And yeah, it was, I mean, the water was there, definitely.
Okay. So after that Olympia, you go into 2024, and I will say this is probably one of my favorite moments. Seeing that, because seeing it over time, how many times you've been like right there being runner up, and I've even told you when I met you back in, was it string culture? I was like, I know what it's like to like be right there and be like, you kind of have that like summits fever where it's like I'm right there to win it. Even my own teammate, where he's had that where he's almost one place away from getting his pro card. It's happened from many years where he's now 35. He won the nationals. He won the overall at nationals in classic physique, and there was like about 40 in his class. And when I
Wow.
told him, hey, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to go 14-0, and then it's like last game of the championship game you lose. And I feel like you took it very well. You kind of took it, my time will come because I always see those Q&As. People like the most common thing I see in a Q&A when I just, if I see stories and I'm seeing through, it just pops up like can you win, it's like, and you always say one day at a time, and I always say this, and I'm happier about this, like when my time comes, it's not a matter of if can I win. I believe I can win. It's a matter of when. And I
Yeah.
always felt like it was a matter of when. And going into 2024, you win your third Arnold. You've made history. So you surpassed Angelica and Ashley and India, who've won it twice. You've won it now 3 times. So that's one thing that's a great accomplishment in itself. And then going into the season, um, Jen announced that she would not be doing the Olympia. So then it's kind of like right now an open throne. So that was the first time that's happened since, it's only happened like 3 times now, where it's like Courtney decided not to defend the title, Jen decided not to defend, and then Jen. And so now it's like we're gonna have a new champion. We're gonna have to hear the words and once again. So going into that year, I was just like, like Lauralie's time. I'm just like one day at a time. Let's see how it goes. Like if this happens, we're gonna have the 11th Miss Olympia champion. And so seeing it all going into that week, your line was long. I actually wanted to talk to you at the Meet the Athletes, but your line is so long. I don't know. Like you go to expos, you go to anything, your line's like you have such international love. Like how iconic it is. Where I'm gonna get to this is kind of a thing. Your name is iconic, Lauralie. You could say your first name. I don't gotta say last name. Like think about it. If I said Arnold, someone's gonna say the Governor, the Terminator. Your
Right.
name is well recognized. Like even someone in another country, that's who they know. There was a girl from Spain that had a video. It's like, I'm here to be Lauralie. Like she's my idol. I got into bikini. She doesn't speak many English, but that's the only word she knows. Like, I love Lauralie. I want to meet
Oh
Lauralie.
my,
I'm from Madrid, and
oh my
they love you.
God.
That no one's had that international. Think about your international love like that. No one's had that in like a long time, and so that's why I feel like you have such a big impact in our industry, and like why that's kind of like your legacy. It's not that your accomplishment. You have 16, 17 pro wins, and you have 3 Arnolds, and you've won every big show, but your impact that you've had. So 2024 Olympia,
Oh.
and it's where everyone, when you walk out, everyone's cameras are up. Everyone's like, I made sure I got a good like front and center seat. I'm like, okay, like this might be it. Like we'll see what happens. And then they had the first call out, and then they had the top 4, and I'm like, whatever happens. Like, and so I was excited to go to finals. I'm like, this could be it. This could, like, let's see. And seeing that moment, and when you won the Olympia title and you started crying, I will be honest, like to see you cry, like there were people in that crowd that were crying for you. And even I'm in my nice
Oh.
suit, I'm in my fedora. I took my glasses off and just started like, it meant something very
Oh my
special.
God. You're gonna cry again. Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So,
No, my
even
God.
you accomplished a lifelong goal. How many times it's like anyone who's, I've seen it where people take second, six, they're just trying to win one pro show, and it's like it doesn't go out. They like, this is not meant to be. Or some people, they start reclining. They they're an uncrowned, like they say, an uncrowned champion, and they're like, I've done this for so long, I'm so tired. And you never gave up. You always were persistent. You're like, I could believe I could do it. This is a goal I wanted. And I remember even going back to 2018, I remember saying, holy shit, this girl could be Miss Olympia one day, hopefully. And and for all those 7 years, I'm like, it was just a matter of when that's the right time. I don't think that
Yes.
would ever. Everyone says all-time best. I'm like, no one comes at their all-time best. It's like whoever shows up best that day, that's their all-time best. If they place higher than and they brought the physique that's like no way the judges could say otherwise, that's an all-time best, and that's definitely what you
Yeah.
brought. And you're only one of 5 people that have ever won the Arnold and the Olympia in the same year. Out of 11 girls who have won the Bikini Olympia title, to say I'm one of those people to do it, like Nicole Negrani, Ashley Callwasser, Angelica, Jen, now you. I
Ooh,
mean,
these are big names. Yeah. Yeah. Mount
to
Rushmore.
say
I
that
love
I'm
that.
making that to say that I'm one of I've done that. That if you think about Open, only 3 guys have won the Arnold and the Olympia in the same year. Only Brandon Curry, Ronnie Coleman, and Dexter Jackson. But you're one of
Wow.
5. But you're one of 5 in bikini to do that in the same year.
That's so
So
awesome.
in you this year, so 2025, you've been at Boost, you've been traveling. You've been a great ambassador for the sport. Um,
Thank you.
how is it like, with your fame on social media? I have to ask, how is it like, you can't go to a public gym anymore. You have Iron University, obviously. So
Yeah, no, it's listen, it's a blessing. I'm very, very thankful. Okay, again, I started the sport not having social media, so I think like that really forged like my core and who I am as my core. So even though I'm very
hold on,
thankful for what it obviously allows me
hold
to
on, wait a
do
minute.
and the reach that I'm able to have to people to share. Okay, no, you're okay. No, I was saying how blessed I am, to be able to get to meet people and have people recognize me and say hello. But for the most part, I think I've curated this like aspect of like where people respect my work and where people like DM me after and they're like, "Oh, I've seen you, but I didn't say hi." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're silly. You should have come just say hi. Just take 1 second." I love meeting people. Um, but no, I think social media has allowed me, a great amount of reach of just being able to share with people while doing what I love. I mean, for me, it's a great tool. Am I happy that I've, come up without it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how these girls are doing it now. It's a lot of pressure. But it's very important to just stay true to yourself, as much as you can. And that's what I've been doing my entire career. So it helped me through, all of my Olympias, looking back, like how happy am I to just look at these top five? Like I was a bridesmaid for so long, like being able to like look at these girl getting their day every like year after year after year for 7 years until it was my time. Like it was incredible. And my bridesmaid, like my top five was just chef's kiss. It wasn't Jen, but it wasn't my normal crowd, but it was all it was Jazzy's comeback. It was Vanya, like just Amy Delgado and Ashley just being there. Like it's I couldn't ask for like a better time to win. And like you said, social media intertwines with just love again. You know what I mean? Like it can be a very negative space, but I was raised without it and I come up without it, which helped me to just be very solid at my core, to just know that I'm always going to act with integrity. I'm always going to stay and remain Lauralie as much as I can, on social media, and stay authentic, and then do my work. Like I just love being an athlete. So social media doesn't take really much away from it, until like unless I let it, and I don't let it happen. And then I'm just able to make incredible connections with just worldwide. It's incredible.
yeah, you're the reason people are starting to go into the gym. Anyone I'm asking recently what got them into wanting to compete or wanting to just train, it's because of you. Because they're that's what, like, oh,
Wow.
I love she loves to train, like she loves to train.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do, and that's I'm like, listen, have
Yes.
something to fall back on and think about it. It's like even some girls, I'm like, who do you like the most? Like I love Laura Lee, her stage presence, her style. That's what they like. And I'm like, and I'm like,
Wow.
you're inspiring the next generation of competitors. That's what I think that you're doing. We always talk about best ambassador for the sport. I mean, not only because you are the Miss Olympia champion, but because of what you are. You know, I'm looking at this girl, Ali Prince, who she's just posting what she's going through. She's posting her day in the life. Like, this is me 10 weeks out. Like, she's showing her emotions. Like, I'm going through a hard time. My cat passed away. She's just showing her life. And it's not take pity on me, feel bad. It's like, this is me. This is who I'm going through. There's this girl now who just turned pro at North Americans. Every day she's just posting her life, like, this is what I'm going through. Like, I'm gonna make a pro debut, and I decided to go all in because I'm doing what I love, and I love what I do. So so you have your own private gym at Iron University. Has it gotten, is it private, or is it public, or is it open to public at certain times?
It's open to public. It's mostly like a trainer's gym, right? So like people,
Mm-hmm.
go there with their trainer. We have like trainer on site. But no, it is
Mm-hmm.
public. People get day passes. They come, they get pictures. People internationally comes. Very destination gym, obviously, like key pieces in equipment. Lisa is actually training there. Lisa, the wellness pro that just
Oh
competed
yeah.
and won Chicago, like her pro debut. She trains there, and a good friend of mine, we're going to see JM together for our Road to the Olympia on the 28th of September. So I'm very excited for that because I'm looking at her and I'm like, what a force to be reckoned with. Like, I just knew from the second she walked inside the gym, I'm like, you women, you are going to be like the next, and just by her energy. And we don't speak the same language, but there is something that we both see each other very well. I mean, she's younger than I have, but she has a son, and everything that she's going through, like you said, again, is just that relationship that just go deeper. So, anyways, I'm excited for her. That's where we're going, and we have a really good crew over there. And again, in respect of just the grind and the hustle, and with it's just amazing also like individual that are there just doing their daily grind. So it's
Yeah,
a
that's
good
awesome.
space.
So now you're with Panada. You're gonna get, and I'm guessing that's because of Hani. Like, you're gonna have to get some nice equipment from them.
Yes, no, I'm very
They have
excited
nice
for that.
pieces. They have nice pieces.
I love them. I love them. They're so smooth, and like I'm all about, just good biomechanics, like I said, and just if they're easy to understand and they're very passionate. We're talking like the owner still works, on with the machine. And that makes such a difference, where like you see the people behind it. And, same thing with Bombshell, that I've been with years, she still does her own designs and she's there at photo shoots and stuff like that. So all of these things like does matter to me, like who's behind the brand and knowing that they have their heart in it, I think that's very important.
Yeah, you go with a brand that aligns with you, because you always were with companies and you're like, I don't believe in it. That's why you decided to go with the next one. So
Uh-huh.
now you're with Evagen, and now with Young LA. By the way, use code is it code Chap or code
Thank
Lauralie?
you.
Use code Lauralie, everybody. Just saying. But you find things that line up with you and make sense with
Hello.
your style, your training, what you believe in. And yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
You go,
it
you
cut
line up
off,
with
but
brands that
yeah.
line with your style, your personality. Yeah.
to
And that's what
make
I
to
feel
make my
like,
job easy,
everybody
right? So
resonates
like,
and relates to you. Yeah.
oh, well, I'm just what can make my job easy, right? Like I just want to be the best athlete in the world. I want to be competitive. So like, what am I actually wearing? These brand reach out, I will like if I mean I've said no and I've actually exited contract because it wasn't working. I wasn't able to get the feedback from my audience and stuff like that, like big paycheck. So I I really work with whatever, like you said, aligns with me, and I'm just able to really do my daily life like authentically. And whomever, like if you want to put a camera on me 24/7, I'm gonna take the same thing. I'm gonna wear the same thing that I'm wearing. Like it's not gonna be I'm going to the gym, I'm changing, or like I'm gonna take like a supplements behind the counter, like my counter is placed a certain way. There's something behind it, or I'm very, very behind the brand, and just as much as like the owners are behind the brand. I think that's very, important. Again, with integrity and truth and authenticity, I think that's where you go like so much further without headaches. I don't want no headaches. I just want free little birdie doing her training and training hard and being supported by the best brands.
All right. So actually going to share your page so that everybody can see who you're with. All right. So I'm gonna before we end this, I'm gonna show. So and shout out all the brands. Use code Lauralie. Just saying. Except Eva Jin's Chap, CHAP.
Thank you. That's right.
All right.
All the links are in my link tree. I think like people don't know I have a
All
link
right.
tree in there, but I do. And the codes are there too. Thank you for that, John.
All right. So, of course. And I will tell you this: what I love about that you're with Kim is that what I love in even working with Kim, what I like about him, he's able to say, this is what science says, this is what I see work in the gym, but he goes, this is good, this is for you and your individual structure. This is what I believe in. And I will ask you this again. I think I asked you before, and I asked Vanya and Jessica Wilson. Did you send your picture for him? He's got a wall in California with like people in magazines, people who've won the Olympia, Arnold. Have you sent your Olympia picture from Gilco yet?
No, I haven't. I have
Send it in.
not.
But yeah,
I could do
I
that. I
think
should do that. We're still waiting on the magazine cover, maybe.
yeah.
We'll
Listen,
see.
I think you have, you've built this great life, you've built this setup, and you have the best people around you. And I think that's also what's carrying you forward. Your parents, your family supports you. You know, Hani's
Yes.
there if you ever need something. If you ever wanted to talk, I could be that friend. I could, if you need anyone to talk to, I'm there. Having that environment, I
Thank you,
definitely
John.
think it made you like feel secure, made you feel like, if I have any issues, I have someone to go and say, here's my issues, they can talk with you. And I definitely think having that support long term is really going to help you with your success in the future. And listen, I'm looking forward to this year's Olympia. I can't wait to see you there and go and defend your title. And it's going to be a great week. And you're the last one up. And so at that moment when
I
you're the
know.
last one on stage, everyone's going to go when they hear you're reigning, defending Bikini Olympia champion, Lauralie Chapados, everyone's going to be up. Everyone's going to go. I'm waiting to see that moment, and that's one thing I've been looking forward to seeing for a long time. And when I'm going to wake up early, going to get good seats, and be like, and I will probably have the biggest smile on my face.
Oh my God, I better see you up there because like we can see everything, right? So like I better
Yeah.
see you like in the those first like two rows. I always look, for my family and stuff. So oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. What a great show. What a long prejudging is going to be. So bring snacks, John,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a long one. And I want everybody to get the energy at the end because like God forbid nobody like imagine me just going out and people are just like sleeping on the ground.
They got to go
Kidding.
through classic, they got to go through men's physique, and then they have to get to you guys. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're maybe gonna do 30 seconds for everybody, and then you're gonna get the full minute and a half. But I'm
So
looking forward to being there. Yeah.
I also want to it's so funny that you bring that up because I made a post recently of like me working with Christina, which is like she's a contemporary dancer and she does like smooth dancing and she's always like she helped me doing my routine for the Arnold. And I wanted to make a little message and saying like even as a Miss Olympia, my routine is currently 45 seconds for the prejudging. Like I am not using a full on minute. Like if because I know if the meeting they bring it down to 30 seconds, if very possibly, okay? But last year's Olympia they said 45 seconds and Kim and I we changed and we actually time ourselves. Like we don't we have to respect the judges in the sport that we're in, like
Yes.
it's not a free for all. It's not like yes, this is the Olympia, and I understand where people are coming from, where they do take it by like almost personally, where like it's the biggest show, I should have my full 90 second, but we're 70, and it's not only for
Yeah.
you, it's for the judges. Firstly, first and foremost, if you want to be judged correctly, Try to
Yeah.
be very straightforward, show your assets and get out. Like, and I this year I'm not changing my formula. Like we timed it in that YouTube video with Kim and I, we went back and forth, making sure that with the walk, we're around 45-second wrap it up. Like, and I am not, again, changing anything. Now for finals, I've got to say, I've got to say, wait, I'm good. I might do a little something, something, but for the prejudging, I please like where the sport has rules. We want this to be contained. 45 seconds, you know, if that's what they said the meeting, if they have to say 30 seconds, we have to embrace it as like these are the rules of the sport, period. Like you're in the
Yes.
sport of bodybuilding, this is 30 seconds, this is the Olympia, and it shouldn't be an emotional reaction. You know what I mean? Like it's not about
Yeah.
you, it's about how can we make the show being a show and being pleasant for everyone and where the judges can still be able to judge. Like this is a long day. We're talking men's physique is about the same length as ours and
Bikini.
classic
Yeah.
physique is about the same as ours. So I wanted to say that in a recent post. So you just opened the door for me. So sorry for that little rant, but I just wanted
No.
to put it out there. Do you
Oh no, that's
agree?
fine. Yeah, listen, it's hard to judge so many people. I mean, with this new qualification, I'm hoping it gets down to like 25, 30-ish. You know, I always said top 20. I can go on this whole thing with the whole like how many people should be on stage. I feel like it's easy to go. It's good enough to go through like 20 to and everyone is fair. And you know, you never know there could be a dark horse, but like a lot now, it's kind of hard to go through. And plus, these judges, like you have an Olympia amateur on Tuesday, Wednesday, they only get Thursday
I
off
forgot about
for
that. I forgot
and
about
then
that.
you have Friday prejudging with 7 divisions, and then you have three divisions on Saturday with the obviously the men's open. So I mean, Bill Sibilia did North Americans and the Masters show from last week. He did it 5 days straight, and he's still like I couldn't do that. My eyes would hurt. And they're
Oh,
over
I'm
100
sure
years
his eyes
experience
are
of judging
earning.
combined. Yeah. I'm gonna make
Incredible.
sure
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna make
it's
sure
crazy.
I'm gonna pick some energy drinks up from the expo, and I'm gonna make sure I'm like
Please.
hydrated enough. And it's dry weather, so
Gra-
I got a 44 ounce right here. I'm gonna have this on me, so I'm gonna make
there
sure
you go.
I'm
Grab some
hydrated and
Celsius.
focused. Because
Grab the Celsius on me. I'll make sure to put your name in my registry of Celsius and be like, John is gonna come and pick up 4 Celsiuses, let him choose his favorite flavors, and then we'll crack one open after prejudging together. And
all
cheers.
right,
Because you brought me one the last time. I remember. That was so sweet of you.
yeah,
I'll always gonna remember that. So hopefully they can hook you up at the Olympia. I'll put your name on the list and you can just go grab your Celsius. My parents always does that.
yeah.
They always go to Celsius booth, they go grab their Celsius and then they go to prejudging.
Yeah. So I got VIP. So I'm gonna like get the early, get a good seat, and like between the judging, I'll try to go to some expo. I have one of my friends, Sean. She'll be I'll have a spot reserved for her. So I'm definitely gonna stop by and I'll let them know. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this year's Olympia. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and you know this is the excitement that's gonna
Me
bring in. You know
too.
today's the last day for qualification, so I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
continuing doing this. And my passion for bikini started, because of Corey Everson, because she was a track athlete, and I learned about she was a 6-time undefeated women's bodybuilder, and she's like, I'd rather be in the gym than go to track. And someone saw like the potential in her, was like, you could be something great. And her passion became her purpose, and that's kind of what I feel like. If your passion is your purpose, it doesn't feel like a job. And people say, well, my job is this, my job is like, no, find what you're happy about, find what you do it, and then make the best out of it and work hard for that. And you've done that, and you're the perfect example of that. And I'm hoping people see this and they're not just like, I'm going all in. No, like, I built something up. It's, I say it's called bodybuilding, not body built. You build something up first and then you go into it. And this is many years of work. And they see that it took you over 7 years to win the title. And, when you were dedicated to this and you were committed, never missed cardio, never missed meal. I see you taking your glass LO containers. You're always taking them with you. You're prepared. When you go on
Yeah.
flights, when you're going on planes and you're traveling, you're like, I'm not going to eat crap. I'm not going to spend so much. Like, I'm prepared. I always
Yeah.
say, it's called a prep because you're prepared for whatever happens. You're prepared for any situation given, and you've done that. So you're what I call self mastery. At its essence, this is what bodybuilding is, an art form and self mastery, and you've done that so well, Lauralie.
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. You're so kind every time. But yeah, 11 years. I was sitting in my car the other day and I was like, wow, I that could be me like 11 years ago, copy paste. I'm just eating this like basically the same meal in my car the same way. And it's just a different scenery. It's a different car, obviously. But it's still an essence, like the reason why I first started. So I always go back to that like 17 years old self, and I'm like, as long as I go back to that, and like those meals bring me back to that, like those bodybuilding meals, you know how you say, you know, bring your child, like your inner child back as much as you can, like that's what bodybuilding does
Yeah,
for me. That's why I feel so comfortable doing it, you know, without with everything that is so uncomfortable, right, that is so to people like sacrifices. I'm like, I look forward to going back right there because it feeds my inner child so much. And been having a couple of those moments recently where I'm like, wow, we're doing it again. We're just right here again in the car eating frozen, frozen food. And, but life is good. And I'm so blessed to do what I do. Like, my God, I can't believe this is my life. It has given me
yeah,
such great opportunities, the traveling, the meeting people. I can't wait for this Olympia, man. It's going to be insane. I cannot wait for Thursday, the press conference. But first and foremost, the meet and greet is the moment. This is, that's where it starts for me, and I cannot wait. I'll see you
your
there.
line's gonna be the
Hopefully,
long. Yeah,
you have to cut my line. You have to cut my line.
I'm gonna respect. I'm gonna be there early. I'm gonna respect everybody that they came to see you. The people
Yeah,
like
no,
Jay
of
Cutler,
course,
and
of course.
they I like the fact that they took time to meet them. They're not just, I'm here for a moment and like I'm here for this time, I gotta go. No, you take the time to meet people and they tell you their story and how you inspired them, and it means a lot for them. It means a lot, not as a fan of the sport, even me being a competitor as well. I understand, like, people, like, they appreciate your work, they appreciate everything you've done, because with I always say, if it wasn't for a certain athlete, would we be where we are today? If it wasn't for Arnold, we wouldn't be where we are today in bodybuilding.
Mm,
They paved the way for many people, and what you're doing is you're paving the way for a new era to come in. How many people they relate to your physique because they like, I don't have great, like, you have great genetics, by the way, but they're like, well, I don't have crazy long glute inserts. I'm like, I'm a taller girl. It's hard for me. So they can look and relate to you because an average height of a bikini is like a class C. So like 5'3", 5'4", and you're different. And like
yeah.
a lot of people, they look at you and they relate. And that's one thing that makes you exceptional, Lauralie.
Thank you. Oh my God, you're so sweet. I don't deserve all of those kind words, but I appreciate your friendship so much, and you're doing such great things, John. Thank you for being so awesome.
Oh, I appreciate any time. Listen, I know you probably have a meal to come up, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I thank you for taking the time
You're
to
so
get
on
on here.
time, actually. Yes.
I could see, I could kind of sense of, like, if someone's like kind of like getting tired of it, I'm like, am I taking too much time? Am I talking too much? So,
No, it's just
but
time
yeah,
for
I
my
thank you
meal,
so much.
period. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Listen, Lauralie, I thank you for coming on. I'm happy to have, for you to share your journey and, get to know even more about you. There were some things I was like, wow, even before, I didn't know you were a server at all. I thought you, you did engineering, right?
So, logistic engineering was where I was going to
Oh yeah.
university for. But no, I was a waitress at a brunch place and a Thai place, and I was also working in a gym. So that way I could be able to do my cardio in the morning. So I would wake up at 4 a.m. I would go to my gym work in the morning. Then I would drive to school, which was closer to like my restaurant night job. And then the brunch place, the other brunch place was during the weekend for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that that was what you were doing. I'm like, man, you made a lot of sacrifices, and how much time of sleeping, you prepared your food. You always made sure you were like punctual, accurate, and on point. And, that's something that's discipline at its essence. And you got that down. And, like I said, I'm sorry to take too much. I wanted to end on like a good note, like with a good send off. And I wanted to say, I appreciate you once again coming on. This is a great opportunity to have you on. One of an icon in the industry. It's hard to get with big names in the industry, but you took the time to come on here and share everything and be open about it and get to even
Anytime.
know about you. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing you at the
Anytime.
Olympia. I'll make sure I'll stop by, and I'm gonna make sure I stop by. I got a whole list of, I got everything mapped out, so I'll be sure to be there and definitely get to talk with you a bit more.
I hope so. And honestly, we should do this after the Olympia too, another one. I love talking with
Oh
you. Thank
yeah,
you for
yeah.
having me
I
on.
would love to do that. All right. So you
Th-
take care, all right?
You too. Thank you for having me on, John. Have a great
Yeah.
day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.